Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, and we're going to stick to my home county of Skåne here in the very south of the country, and we're going back to a brewery who I think have been doing some very interesting beers recently. They've really stepped up their game, I think, over the last 18 months or so, or maybe 2 years. Can't quite remember, but yeah, they're doing some very nice beers at the moment anyway. For this review then, we are going to head a little bit to the northeast of me here in Lund to Eslöv, and that means we're going to have a look at another beer from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri. This must be review number 10 or so that I've done from this brewery, but today we're going to have a look at the Mellox, which is a Hairless Lager with a little bit of grapefruit oil added to it. It comes in at 5.5% ABV, and hopefully this is another very interesting beer. This one was released on the 1st of July 2020 through the local Småskaligt assortment in Systembolaget. This was one of 3 beers that they released. There was another lager in there, I forget the name of that now. But that beer was released both as a folk öl and as one that's slightly stronger in alcohol through Systembolaget. So I will see if I can get the Systembolaget version to review for you a bit later. And they also released the Blaze Double IP as well, which you will see me review in a few videos time. And this, as I say, is the third one for July 2020. But these guys are fairly prolific these days. They always seem to release at least 1 or 2 beers a month through the local Småskaligt. So if you're interested in Skånsk craft beer, Scanian craft beer, then I would recommend that you check out this brewery because they're doing some really interesting stuff. As I say, I really think they've upped their game over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years. So yeah, curious to see how this one turns out, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on it as well. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri before. No doubt there will be some more added to that in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri, as I've told you before, are based on a farm in Eslöv, just a little bit to the northeast-ish of me here in Lund. They've been brewing there since the kind of autumn time of 2014, and then in January of 2015 they started selling their beers through Systembolaget, the Swedish monopoly, Swedish alcohol monopoly I guess I should say. But the owner and founder of this company is Håkan Nilsson. Together with his wife Michelle, he started his plans for a brewery a couple of years prior to 2014, and the brewery is located on his family farm. If you ever see a brewery with the name Gård in it, Gård of course is Swedish, Danish, Norwegian for farm, and I think Gard is what they say, like G-A-A-R-D. I think you'll see it kind of written that way quite often as well, or G with the O-R-D. That's the usual spelling of this thing. So those are farm breweries. There's quite a lot of these. Abeltoft Gårdsbryggeri is another one that comes to mind from Denmark. But Håkan is the 5th generation of his family to farm the countryside in Skåne. The old barn was renovated and turned into a brew house with 1,500 litres, and Hampus Olofsson was hired as a brewer in August 2014, having previously worked for Malmö Brewing Company, and he's been with them ever since, from what I understand. Over the last few years they've been gradually expanding their capacity, and they now have a 3,000 litre brew kit, and they invested in new fermentation tanks in spring of 2018, which apparently has taken their capacity up to a possible 800,000 litres. In 2019 they also started opening up their summer pub, which at the moment opens for every Wednesday. I think they are opening it this year, I'm not certain though, but they started that in 2019, and they had plans for further expansion this year in 2020, but I think those have been put on hold a little bit while the whole coronavirus situation goes on. But as of July 2020, when I'm filming this beer review for you, they've produced 50 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and like I said, they are getting more and more prolific at the moment. So quite a good chunk of those beers have come out over the last 2 years or so since they've expanded in 2018. So yeah, I really think that expansion has changed. Their beers that they had before were nice, particularly the Red Carol, which was their Christmas red ale. They also had the They were also producing a nice milk stout called the Sweet Hoof. That was really nicely done. But yeah, in recent times, their IPAs and things like that they've been putting out have really kind of caught up with other breweries and stuff in my mind. So yeah, these guys are doing some very nice stuff at the moment, I have to say. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri. It's always nice to go back to one of my local breweries, of course, and maybe I can get these guys on the channel. Maybe I can get, I've met Hampus before, maybe I can get Hampus and Håkan to come on the channel and do a Meet the Brewery interview at some point. That would be really cool actually. I'll maybe write to them and ask them if they'd be keen for that. So yeah, but yeah, that's all I can tell you about Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one then. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open it up. This one of course is a 440ml can. And yeah, really nicely presented. As I say, this one has, it says on the side here, Kall pressad olja of grapefruit, so basically in English that translates to cold pressed grapefruit oil. But yeah, 5.5% Hairless Lager beer, this one. I've got a feeling this might be the first lager that I've had from Remmarlöv actually, but it's just one that when I saw that this was listed as a Hairless on Systembolaget, I thought, you know, this sounds like a very, very interesting one, so why not go for it? But yeah, 440 millilitres, this one, 5.5% ABV, nicely presented. There you can see the Remmarlöv Brewery symbol on this one, and of course they always put this little thing with the hen or the cockerel on the side here, made in Skåne, Sökenrud 13-20. So yeah, let's get it out and we will get on with the tasting then. I think I paid either 30 or 35 kroners for this can, so that will be what, somewhere between £2.50 and £3 British, just shy of £3 British, and it will be about, yeah, €2.50, €3, something like that. So yeah, so yeah, that looks pretty nice, I have to say. I just cleaned that. I don't know why the carbonation's sticking. I just washed the glass. That's annoying, but yeah, it seems to be going away quite nicely. But yeah, this one, this looks really nice actually, I have to say. The colour of this is pretty impressive. So yeah, if we hold this one up to the light and shine it through, it's actually a kind of amber-y leaning lager, this one. It's got a good little bit of a nice amber colour to it rather than being a very bright yellow. I do wonder what influence the grapefruit oil has on the colour, or if it maybe just it's colourless, I don't know. But yeah, the colour of this one, it is it's one of the darker sort of Hairless type lagers that I've come across, come to think of it. So this one, of course, when we talk about the Hairless Lager, the Hairless is the German blonde lager, if you like, but you do have another variety from the Czech Republic called the Svedli. You also have the Letsak as well, which is a more amber lager, and this one is actually, in terms of its colour, I think it's somewhere between the Svedli and the Letsak. It's got a bit of the colour that you would expect of the darker Letsak, but you know, still a little bit of the Svedli character in there as well. So yeah, somewhere between a sort of Czech Svedli and Letsak, but a little bit darker, I think, than a number of Hairless beers that you're going to come across. Maybe just a little touch more amber-like in my mind. But yeah, this one is crystal clear if you put the light through it. I think the glass is getting a little bit of condensation around it, the water from the air sticking to it. But yeah, there you can see this beer is crystal clear. It's just condensing around the glass a little bit. You can see that when I poured this beer, it had about a half finger of a frothy white head. That's fading away to just be a very, very thin foamy layer. But yeah, you can see there's a good, I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but the carbonation is going up to the top of the glass there quite nicely. But yeah, I really like how I really do like how this beer appears. It looks very, very nice. But yeah, nothing overly surprising about this one when you consider what style of beer it is. Yes, this one's one of the darker Hairless beers that I've come across. I would describe it as somewhere between a Svetli and a Letsak. But yeah, nothing, you know, it is, you know, sometimes Hairless beers, you know, they can be a little bit blonde, they can be a little bit lighter, they can be a little bit darker. So yeah, nothing too much to say about the appearance of this one. It's definitely within the realms of expectation for the Hairless style lager. But yeah, let's have a closer look at the aroma of this one then and just see how we get on. That's quite interesting because it really does smell very kind of straight up in terms of its aroma. It really does smell like a kind of straight up lager. I get a little bit of grapefruit out of it, but it's not as dominant as you might expect it to be in the aroma. Yeah. Yeah, when you sugar the beer up, you definitely get more of the grapefruity character out of it. You can smell that kind of big citrusy note from the grapefruit in there. I really like how that comes out in this one. But yeah, lovely big kind of citrusy note towards the back of the nose there. I like how that all comes out. It's actually quite a juicy grapefruity quality that you get with this one. The big grapefruity citrusy note in there does get more and more juicy the more you smell of this beer. But yeah, you get some nice kind of straight up bready malts out of this one. It's got a little bit of a pale malty character as well, but beyond that you can smell a little bit of the earthiness that you'd expect of the German noble hops. You can get a little bit of that kind of bright grassiness as well, and there's a wee bit of some of that kind of slightly spicy floral character there as well. I do wonder, just from the aroma, I do wonder if it's Sats hops that are in this, maybe Czech Sats hops, because there's just something distinctive about the kind of grassiness and floral character to it. There is a wee bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing going on, but the more and more that I smell of this, the harder it is to actually pick up the malty side of the beer or the other parts of the hops. The grapefruit aromas really do just start to kind of take over everything else. It does become more and more prominent the more you try and smell this beer. So yeah, as I say, there's a wee, as far as I can get it, there's a wee bit of a kind of pale malty quality in there. You can smell a little bit of a Pilsner malt, you know, that wet bready but still quite astringent and crisp kind of quality. There's a wee bit of a kind of biscuity sweetness in there. Yeah, it's got a nice kind of base to it, but as I say, the grapefruity notes, they kind of interact a little bit with the biscuity side of things and make the beer seem sweeter and sweeter. So I really like how that, I do really like how that goes together actually. It's a very quirky smelling beer, this one. You do get a little bit of a kind of lemony, grassy citrus out of this one, maybe a little touch of gooseberry as well, and wee bit of pear. You can pick up these kind of typical things from the Hairless underneath, but yeah, the more you smell of this one, the more that big sort of oily grapefruity citrus pushes its way out of the beer at you. So yeah, just be aware of that one when you do this. It doesn't smell so prominent when you first look at it, but then if you start smelling it more and more, you will get progressively more and more of the grapefruit. It's almost like the aroma just opens up a little bit. But yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy that aroma before you get stuck into the beer. But we're going to have a taste of this one now and just see how we get on. So this one is the Mellox, a Hairless Lager, coming in at 5.5% ABV with a bit of cold pressed grapefruit oil added into the brew. So yeah, let's get stuck into this one. Sláinte, skål. Yeah, I have to say that's really nice actually. It's very, I have to say it's very crisp and very wet actually in its mouthfeel. I think maybe the grapefruit oil is perhaps making this one just feel a little bit wetter. To be honest with you, look at the head on this now. That's a really nice pour. But yeah, the this one, it's like a very kind of wet and very, it's got a little bit of oiliness to it the further you go into the aftertaste with it. But yeah, quite a nice and wet and oily, quite a nice wet oily character that comes out of this beer. So I really like how this one goes together. Yeah, it's just this one's quite a nice sort of summery, easy drinking beer, this, I have to say. I like this. It gets a thumbs up from me. I would drink that again. It's quite the grapefruit, as I say, in the flavour, it isn't too prominent. It's just got, as I say, it's like a twist, a grapefruit twist. So yeah, I would say that it's just like a little kind of subtlety almost. It doesn't sort of dominate the beer or anything like that. I really like how it goes together. But yeah, the aroma of this and the flavour and everything, the way that the flavour and the aroma connect in this is quite interesting, because you would think that the grapefruit would really start to dominate, and you can feel it getting a bit stronger the further you go into the aftertaste with the beer. But yeah, it's quite, as I say, this is quite an easy drinkable beer rather than anything else. So yeah, do keep an, do have a go at this one for yourself and just see what you think. But yeah, let's try and break down the flavour a little bit more. Yeah, But yeah, let's look at that then. So the middle of your palate, you can feel a little bit of that straight kind of pale malty quality just blanketing the middle of your tongue. You can feel that there. If you go further towards the back third of your palate, you can feel there is a wee bit of an almost pilsnery type malt coming out of this one. You can feel that sort of wet bready and quite, you know, that sort of slightly astringent kind of crisp kind of quality that you'd expect of the Pilsner malt. But yeah, at the back of the palate there is a wee bit of a more graininess to the bready qualities of this beer. It's almost a bit like a kind of brown bready note, but you can feel kind of remnants of that grapefruit oil kind of sitting up there as well, which is quite interesting. I'd be curious to know when they've put the grapefruit oil in this, if it's been during the fermentation or if it's been blended in a little bit later. I would assume that it's during the fermentation process. Actually, that would make the most sense. But yeah, the fruit, how do you say that the fruitiness out of this one is quite nice actually. But yeah, you do get a little bit of the grapefruit oil kind of almost sitting on top of that slightly breadier quality at the back of the palate there. But yeah, as you come further forward in this one, as I say, you've got pale malt underneath. You do get a little bit of a, you can feel this one, it kind of thickens up in the middle of the palate a little bit, but you've almost got, pardon me, this sort of island, if you like, in the middle of your tongue. It's like a slightly oily island. You've got a little bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive quality to this one. If you go to the very centre of your palate, it's got a nice kind of sweet caramel note to it, and as you move out from the centre of the palate there, it does get progressively more, it does get like a little bit more sort of biscuity and things like that. If you go to the front corners of your palate and then just move back a little bit, you will get one or two little woody elements coming out of the beer, which is quite nice. But yeah, I do like how all of that goes together. Yeah, the woody elements, as I say, they're quite subtle in this one, but you do get elements of the grapefruity oil throughout the whole thing, and I do find that the more that I drink of this one, it's got a little bit of a sweet as I say, you've got a little bit of a caramelly, biscuity quality in the middle of the palate, like I say, and I think it sweetens up the further you go into the aftertaste as well, but you also get some sweetness from that kind of grapefruity oil pushing its way out of this beer as well, which is quite interesting. So yeah, I like how that goes together. On the hoppy side of things then, in the back corners of the palate, there is a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further along the side of the palate, it does gradually get a little bit more kind of floral and grassy and things like that. I actually wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of cascade in this one, to be honest with you. There's just something about the way the hops are coming out in this that strikes me a little bit like cascade. Maybe that's why I thought it was Czech Žatec hops earlier, because it is a little bit kind of brighter, but if there's grapefruit oil in it, that would have covered up a lot of the kind of very distinctive qualities that you get of Cascade. One of my favourite lager beers back home, actually, the Schiehallion from Harveston Brewery, my local brewery in Scotland, they use Cascade in their sort of Czech style. Their Czech style beer, so I really like that in a sort of Czech style Pilsner, Pilsen. But yeah, the way that that comes out is very nice. But yeah, as I say, you get more and more floral as you go further forward along this one. It's a little bit lighter and grassy as you go round the front curve of the palate. And yeah, it's just a little touch, just a little sort of touch oily as well actually. It's very nice. Yeah, solid beer this one. Big thumbs up to Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri for this. It grows on me, it's definitely one that grows on me. But yeah, around the front curve of the palate you can feel the grapefruit oil there. Whenever you add fruit or fruit oil or whatever to a beer, it always suppresses a little bit of the IBUs of the beer, and you really get it around, you particularly get the fruits coming out around the edge of the palate, and you can just feel some of the IBUs that this beer might regularly have are just being suppressed a little bit by that fruity note. But on the front third of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters push their way out of the beer. And if you go to the back of the palate in this one, you will get a little bit of that stronger kind of grapefruity quality, and as you come further forward you can feel the grapefruit from the oil is sort of lingering there as well. But as you reach the kind of front tip of the tongue, there is a wee bit of a sort of peary, yeah, a wee bit of a peary and gooseberry kind of thing there. On the very front edge of the tongue you will get just a little hint of a gooseberry quality out of this one. But yeah, when it's a grapefruit twist, grapefruit tends to dominate everything else. It's got a very, very pungent flavour, and it's no exception in this. But obviously I think they've only added like a little bit of oil so that it doesn't take over the beer. But certainly in terms of the fruits, I would suspect that Cascade has been used as one of the hops in this, but you know, you don't quite get some of the berryish notes and things that sometimes that can give you, the sort of lighter figgy notes that Cascade will sometimes give you. It's dominated by the oily character around the front edge of the palette actually, so it's kind of interesting that. It's interesting that when it's the oil they add as well, not the straight up fruit, it behaves the same way. It sort of suppresses some of the green side of the hops at the on the front of the palette. But yeah, as I say, this is a very nice drinkable kind of summer beer, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's look at the mouthfeel of this one then. In terms of flavour, I really like this actually. I need to try their other lager, because I think the other one is a more straight up lager, to be honest with you, so that would be an interesting one to try. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say that this one, it's still quite a light bodied beer. It's at the top end of light bodied, bottom end of mid bodied. Carbonation is very, very smooth in this. The beer overall, I find it quite oily. It's one of the more oily lagers that I've had, but obviously the grapefruit oil will contribute to that a little bit, but I think even otherwise it would still come across as quite oily without that. In terms of IBUs and stuff, I think this one to me doesn't come across as very bitter. I think, let's see, I think maybe you'd get like you'd maybe get about 20 IBUs out of this one, something like that, maybe even less, to be honest with you. Not the most bitter lager that you're going to come across. But yeah, malt base is quite smooth to this one. It does, the breadiness kind of lingers there. It does get slightly sweeter the further that you go into the aftertaste as well, and you've got some very nice you've got some really nice kind of fruity juiciness to this one. As I say further on, it's quite an oily fruity character that you get out of this, so I really like how this one goes together. It's a big thumbs up from me, and I have to say I have I have enjoyed reviewing this one for you here. This is a solid lager beer, but I'm very curious to see what their straight up lager beer is like. I forget the name of that one, but I will try and get a can of that. I think they've got it in the Systembolaget at the train station, so I'll see about picking one of those up and reviewing that later as well. But yeah, this one was the Mellox, a 5.5% Hairless Lager with a little bit of grapefruit oil added to it, which was a really nice one. I think this is one that my good friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker would enjoy, so I need to see about when I could maybe get one of these to him. I think this is a beer that he would very much like. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one then. This one was the Mellox, a 5.5% Hairless Lager with a bit of cold pressed grapefruit oil added to it from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri in just outside of Eslöv here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. A brewery that I do recommend that you check out, and you will see another 2 reviews from these guys fairly soon actually, so keep your eyes out for them. So yeah, thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri. Keep your brewery recommendations coming. Do give me some other lager recommendations, because I'm really enjoying reviewing the lagers at the moment. And thank you again for watching the Mellox from Remmarlöv Gårdsbryggeri in just outside of Eslöv here in Skåne, South Sweden. Slange, skål, cheers.